Hey, I'm Shane. I'm going to do a little animation of my beard growing. So you've probably seen those time-lapse videos where a person will take a picture of themselves every day and then it will show how their hair has grown over the course of a year or how they've aged over the years. I thought that would be a cool thing to do with my beard growth, but every time I think about it, I've already got my beard grown out. So I start growing my beard every year in October, and then I shave it off again in March. And I normally keep it trimmed, but last year I was in a group chat with some friends of mine from college, and we were talking about our beards, and one of them suggested that we let our beards grow out to see how big they would get. Yes, I'm 53 years old, and I still participate in juvenile activities like beard growing contests. I guess it wasn't really a contest, and if it had been, I would have lost because their beards grow way faster and fuller than mine does. And one of them didn't even grow a beard. He bought a yarn beard off of Etsy. Periodically, I would take a photo of it to post it in the chat as an update. So ideally, I would have taken these pictures from the same angle with the same lighting, and I would have done it daily or weekly. And that way I could have put them all together to make one of those time-lapse videos, but I didn't do that. The photos that I have are kind of all over the place with lighting, and the angles are different. Even though I tried lining them up, it just didn't work. So that I thought I would draw a progression animation and show you how I make animations, and I hope you enjoy. I've been doing short animations for a couple of years. I'm no expert at it, but I do enjoy playing around with it. I'm self-taught through my own trial and error and a few tips that I picked up from online tutorials. So you might find my method of doing it to be inefficient or even outright wrong, but I've gotten used to doing it this way, and it works for me. And I just do it for fun anyway. I'm not trying to be a professional animator. So what I do is draw my images in Clip Studio Paint, and then I compile the animation in Adobe Premiere. Clip Studio has an animation feature, but since I'm already comfortable with Premiere, I just do it there. I only have 5 photos that are somewhat close to the same angle. And one of the photos is this unflattering one that I took of myself in January when I had COVID, but I want to include that in the animation as well. So the first thing I did was remove the backgrounds from all the photos in Photoshop, and then I opened them up in Clip Studio. I just trace over the photo with my pencil tool. But tracing is cheating. Shut up. No, it's not. So I make 2 or 3 tracings of each photo all on separate layers, and the tracings aren't going to be exact, and they won't precisely line up with each other. And when you put them together in an animation, they have sort of a jittery effect to them, which I like. I take my initial tracing and then I fill in the background just behind it on a separate layer to give it an opaque base. This will prevent the background from showing through when I put it together in the end. Now, if I just wanted it to be lines, I could just move on to the next picture, but I want it to be painted as well. So on the layer between the white mask layer and the tracings, I'll make a new layer, and I'll do the painting portion of the image. I did a little color correction on the photos so they all look similar. If the lighting is really drastic from one photo to the next, I just kind of improvise when I paint to make it as close as I can to the previous frame. After this, I remove the background so that it's transparent, and I save a copy of each iteration of the image. And it'll be a combination of the white mask layer, the painting layer, and then I just cycle through each trace line version and variation of the tracing combinations. And I save them separately to give me as many as 7 individual frames of the same image. I save the files as a PNG, and this preserves the background transparency. And I do this because I want to paint a separate background to lay in behind the portraits when I compile them in Premiere. So once all the drawing and painting of my photos are done, I need to make frames to go in between them to transition more smoothly. So now that I have all my frames finished, I just need a background, and I want to show the seasons changing from fall to winter to spring. So for this, I'll make the canvas bigger, And that way, when I put it in behind my portraits, I can zoom in on it and move it across the screen. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I get there. So now that the background is finished, I can make my faces talk. And to do this, I need to make a few mouth shapes for different sounds. And then I save them also as a PNG with a transparency background. And then I can just overlay them on top of my portraits in Premiere to match the words. And I can also make eyes blink, eyebrows, and eyes move. Each will be its own layer. Now, since each of these has a different level of beard growth, I'd have to draw a group of mouth shapes for each one because they look so different. So I don't know that I'm going to do it for all of them. With the compiling portion of it, I first record my audio, like my voiceover or character voices, because in a lot of ways, the audio dictates where particular animation frames or video clips will go. So I try to have it in place first, and then I build the video parts around it. When I start laying in my animation frames, I work from the back of the scene to the front. So the background will go on the first video track. And as I mentioned earlier, I made my background larger than my other frames so that I could move it across the screen. Then, if something is moving behind my main subject but in front of the background, like the snowflakes in this particular segment, it will go on the next track. Then I put in my main subject. And then I can track through the frames and listen to the audio a little at a time to determine where my particular mouth shapes will go to match the sounds of the words. And then the mouth shapes will go on the track above my main subject. And if I want my eyes to move or blink, then they'll go on the track above that. If there's anything passing in front of my main subject, then they'll go on the track above that, and so on. I have a track at the top for titles because I want the words to be in front of everything. Now, all of this sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. You just kind of have to stay organized and keep it all straight. And now let's see how it looks finished with it all put together. Okay, beard, start growing. Uh-oh, what's this? Oh no. I really do enjoy making animations. It isn't really hard to do simple animations like this as much as it is tedious. It's a lot of work for very little payoff. I have a huge respect for professional animators who draw and paint individual frames where they do 24 frames a second. It blows me away the skill and patience involved with that. I tried doing that once and it was just way too complicated and time consuming for me to produce even 1 second of animation. So I try to simplify it as much as I can and still look somewhat good. Well, that's all, folks.